Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Tuesday night's calendar.
And here are tonight's main stories.
Ugly side of the beautiful game. Coaches say their young players are facing increasing racist abuse and the Home Secretary is partly to blame.
So when you're using words like invasion, they're coming from these countries, and as you look around, these BME backgrounds, these families are from those countries. They legally have the right to be here, but because there's that narrative of all these invasion of these people, they just paint it with the same brush, and that's what it is. Go back to your homeland.
A dark day for Yorkshire's Black Sheep Brewery as bosses announce they're calling in the administrators.
One last throw of the Allardyce after a shambolic weekend for Leeds United. Could Big Sam be the one to save them from the drop?
Yes, it's all change here at Elland Road. The director of football has left and the head coach could soon follow suit. But with just 4 games to go until the end of the season, is it all too little, too late?
And she's got it licked. How almost 50 years of safe crossings got lollipop lady Jackie an invite to Buckingham Palace. Thank you for joining us. First tonight, to claims that footballers as young as 7 are facing increased levels of racist abuse and that Home Secretary Suella Braverman is at least in part to blame. The
founder of Alpha United Juniors FC in Bradford says the language used by the government around asylum seekers, particularly terms such as invasion, is heightening tensions, and that's being reflected on local pitches and on touchlines.
Mohammed Waheed also wrote to Prince William about the issue of racism in football, who agreed it was abhorrent. And when asked for a comment about Suella Braverman's language, the Home Office told Calendar it's using every tool at its disposal to deter illegal migration. Adam Fowler reports.
The first football practice after Ramadan for this amateur club in Bradford. But children as young as 7 years old have been subjected to racism at matches, and it's a constant worry for organisers.
It's been from players on the pitch. We've even had a referee actually give us some racism as well in the past. Fans on the sidelines and even coaches. Just in the last month or so we've experienced that alone, and this has been going on for 10 years now. And we've gone through all the reporting channels, the way it should be done, but we've had zero to no success at all. With one reason after another given of why they can't be charged.
We often get youngsters at the end of matches asking questions, why were we spoken to like this? And one particular example that springs to mind is I saw one of our junior referees being constantly shouted abuse at during a match, and it was quite upsetting to see.
Earlier this year, Mohammed wrote to Kensington Palace about the problem, following what he sees as a lack of action by the FA. And Prince William responded, describing racist behaviour as abhorrent and saying he'd raised the issue with the FA.
The invasion on our southern coast.
The Home Secretary has been criticised many times for what some see as inflammatory language describing asylum seekers. And according to Mohammed, it's led to an increase in racist abuse being suffered by players.
Most definitely it's got worse. When you're using words like invasion, they're coming from these countries, and as you look around, there's BME backgrounds, these families are from those countries. They legally have the right to be here, but because there's that narrative of all these invasion of these people, they just paint it with the same brush, and that's what it is. Go back to your homeland, etc, etc. And that's the stuff that we hear on sidelines still to this day, and we've seen that kind of step up in the last 18 months or so.
A spokesperson for the Home Office says the public rightly expects us to control immigration at a time when the number of people arriving in the UK via small boats has reached record levels, placing pressure on the asylum system and stretching our capacity to support those in need.
We know that when the rhetoric from the top is so disgraceful and it needs calling out, that has actual real-time impact and real consequences for people, in communities. And what Alpha United has demonstrated in their experience demonstrates that Suella Braverman's comments have had consequences for them.
Not just, again, from the way that government officials have been conducting themselves recently, but across the board within Britain, we're finding more overt forms of racism or racial abuse or conscious. Some people want to call it conscious or unconscious bias, however you want to define it. It's definitely more overt within Britain in this current climate, and we're finding the exact same correlation between that within grassroots football.
The West Riding FA says it's observing a match this weekend, and it always takes allegations of racism extremely seriously. With these young players having to endure it at such an early age, the beautiful game comes along with a very ugly reality. Adam Fowler, ITV News, Bradford.
Next tonight, the owners of Black Sheep Brewery in Massam have confirmed they've issued a notice to appoint administrators, but say they're still trying to sell the businesses. The company's chief executive, Charlene Lyons, said the pandemic coupled with rising costs was the perfect storm and added that COVID loans were useful but could not compensate for reduced cash flow in the long term. She said she was hopeful that with a new structure, Black Sheep would thrive as the team set course in a new direction.
Our staff are fully engaged, they know what's going on, they understand the current position, which is that we are progressing with the sale of the business, which is really positive. And we are in a position whereby we are fully intending to ensure their jobs are absolutely safe.
Now, in just 2 days' time, many of us will be heading to the ballot box when we can have our say on who runs services such as bin collections and social care, with council elections taking place.
In our region, more than 500 council seats are up for grabs in 15 local authority areas. Some councils are full elections, that is, every seat's up for election, while in others, a third of the council seats are up for the vote.
One of the councils with a full election is the City of York. 2015 was the last time any one party had overall control. It's an authority that encompasses one of the world's most popular tourist areas and around 200,000 locals. Well, Tina Gelder has been meeting some of them and political leaders about the impact of tourism on the city.
From its magnificent minster to its medieval streets, from its centuries-old racecourse to horsepower of a different kind at the National Railway Museum, York is a city steeped in history.
And modern life here is very much impacted by its past. York is a world-famous destination. Every year it welcomes around 8.4 million visitors. That translates to £765 million for the local economy. And as for employment, well, tourism supports some 24,000 jobs here. There's some magic numbers right there. Busy day?
Yeah, very busy day.
But retailers say the figures don't tell the whole story.
Would you like an extra bag for this?
Phil Pinder's shop is on the shambles. That pretty much sums up his view of the council.
We've gone from political party to political party every 4 years, which has meant no long-term plan. And that's what we desperately need, is a long-term plan and a vision for the city, linking all the things together like transport and housing and how we tackle that together, from business to residential to everyone in the city doing it all together.
Could a so-called tourism tax help to finance that?
No, Joel. Yeah, good to see you.
It was smiles all round when the city's political leaders met up, but make no mistake, they are fighting for votes. From the current Lib Dem leader, talk of a small extra charge for tourists staying overnight.
I was recently in Barcelona, tourism tax there. I don't think it's something that's massively detrimental, but it's looking at how some of that tourist income can start to benefit and help us to protect frontline services that matter to people in the city.
From Labour, agreement that residents must reap the benefits.
The tourism levy would allow us to invest in our city centre to keep it clean, make it more family friendly. We really need to change the culture down there so that residents of York feel like they want to come into the city, which they don't at the moment.
And for those who do live in this city of ancient battles, tourism can be a double-edged sword.
There's far too many tourists, there's not enough done. People that live here, all they want is money, money, money off the tourists.
Just general things where they seem to want to cater for the tourists. Cafe shops, and restaurants, and all the little corner shops are shutting down.
But what do those pesky visitors make of a possible levy?
So I would like this tax not to be applicable to a person who is just coming here for a day or two.
I think anything that goes to the preservation and upkeep of the place and goes to the local people is a good thing.
If they go ahead with it, I think this city's going to lose the majority of its popularity.
Back to those smiling politicians, and it's a no to any tourism tax from the Tories.
We'd be completely opposed to it. The tourism and hospitality sector is the biggest employer in York. It would really make us uncompetitive. It's basically the equivalent of biting the hand that feeds us.
But it may not be down to a single political view. It's 8 years since any one party steered the direction of the council. It's currently run by a coalition between the Lib Dems and the Greens, small in number but big in influence.
Even though we only had 3 councillors out of 47, we've made a big difference since 2019. A whole range of things on the citywide level, but also supporting our local residents, tackling the issues that face them on a day-to-day basis.
And come Thursday, the people of this city will cast their vote, and in a constantly shifting political playing field, will determine where the balance of power will land. Tina Gelder, ITV News, York.
Well, just to point out, York Council also has 3 independent councillors making up the 47 seats. Polling stations are open on Thursday from 7 in the morning to 10 o'clock in the evening, and we'll have a full roundup of results on our website itv.com/calendar.
Still to come on tonight's calendar, after another dismal weekend for Leeds United, we're live at Elland Road, where Sam Allardyce is expected to be unveiled as their new manager.
And the good news, it stays dry over the next couple of days, weather-wise, but variable amounts of cloud. Join me for the full forecast a little later on in the programme, and of course a look ahead to Coronation Weekend.
See you shortly, Kerry. Thank you. Now, NHS staff are to get a 5% pay rise after a pay deal was signed off between the government and 14 health unions. But 3 unions are still threatening to continue action due to ongoing concerns about pay and patient safety.
Elsewhere in the service, there's been criticism over so-called virtual wards, new technologies which allow hospital patients to access healthcare in their own homes.
Well, supporters say they can help speed up recovery time and free up much needed resources. And those against them say they're just a sticking plaster to cover a lack of NHS funding, and what the service really needs is another 13,000 hospital beds. Here's Amrit Birdie.
Just start some walking, so if you want to get your clip and pop yourself.
Living with a heart condition can be challenging and often involves close monitoring by doctors and nurses of things like your blood pressure, heart rate and exercise. But for patients at this clinic, much of their monitoring is done virtually via an app.
They're able to track their activity, their walking activity. They're able to track blood pressure, so they can pop their blood pressure on there and see what's going on. They can also monitor their weight and their height, and obviously keep an eye on BMI, because that's obviously important.
For some patients, the app also serves as a daily reminder to take their medication, which they might otherwise forget.
It's like actually having the cardiac rehab team sort of just on call 24 hours a day. Everything's there. And for people like me, there's checklists in there. There's checklists about the medication I take, making sure that I take it every day. I've got a memory like a sieve, so I keep forgetting.
It's hoped that by introducing these so-called virtual wards for patients to be supported at home, hospital beds can be freed up more quickly. At the beginning of this year, NHS England reported over 14,000 beds were being taken up by patients who no longer needed to be in hospital. And in the northeastern Yorkshire, 72.7% of hospital beds are occupied on average. Although the app is currently being rolled out across the country, there are concerns that the technology doesn't address the root cause of the bed shortages facing the NHS.
You have to put this initiative in the context of what's going on in the NHS at the moment. And the reason for virtual wards is that there aren't enough beds in hospital. So we now lack bed capacity. And the Royal College of Emergency Medicine is saying we need 13,000 more hospital beds to help alleviate the current crisis.
The government says there is growing evidence that virtual wards are a safe and efficient alternative to hospital care, and that the NHS is expanding the number of hospital beds and plans to recruit and retain more staff. The app is not designed to replace in-person hospital appointments, but it could indicate the start of a new digital era of healthcare for us all. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Sport now, and developments at Leeds United, where another torrid performance on the pitch left them in the Premier League drop zone and prompted dramatic changes off the pitch. The Whites were heavily beaten again on Sunday, losing 4-1 to relegation rivals Bournemouth. And today, speculation is rife that former England manager Sam Allardyce could be brought in to replace the head coach Javi Gracia.
Well, meanwhile, sporting director Victor Orta has left by mutual consent as Leeds fight to preserve their top flight status. Our reporter Jonathan Brown is outside Elland Road for us now. So, Jonathan, it's been a busy day behind the scenes.
Yes, that's right, Sally. It's certainly not been pretty on the pitch here in recent weeks. And today that's led to some pretty dramatic changes off it. That's because the Premier League table has made some pretty grim reading for Leeds United fans in recent weeks and months, and another drubbing at the hands of relegation rivals at the weekend certainly hasn't helped matters. It took Leeds United 16 years to get promoted back to the top flight the last time they were relegated from it, and people here certainly don't want to go down that route again if they can help it. And with just 4 games to go until the end of the Premier League season, it appears that desperate times could be calling for desperate measures. Booed off and staring down the barrel of relegation. Chants of "you're not fit to wear the shirt" followed the full-time whistle on Sunday after another dismal display. A 6-pointer against fellow strugglers Bournemouth saw them concede another 4 goals. That's a Premier League record of 23 in a single month, plunging them into the bottom 3.
There is no signs of any improvement. If anything, in areas you can think it's actually getting worse.
The result led fans groups to issue a statement of no confidence in the Leeds United board. Change, they say, is a must.
The performance on the pitch show that you don't have a united front. We don't have a team that appears to have the pride that we'd expect of it. And we just don't know which direction we're going in.
More criticism was levelled at the players after this video emerged of them reportedly ignoring 8-year-old Leeds supporter Dylan Whale before the Bournemouth game. In a statement, the squad apologised, though the young fan's family said many of the players did actually stop for him.
Top and bottom of this is, he had a fantastic day. Dylan had a wonderful day.
Meeting your family.
And John, and we woke up yesterday absolutely gobsmacked.
For months, there's been disquiet between fans and club bosses like Director of Football Victor Orta. Seen here responding to chants from the crowd in November. He helped to bring Marcelo Bielsa to the club prior to their promotion, but has been criticised for recent transfer dealings. And today he left by mutual consent, a statement from the club saying it's time to change direction.
You know what football's like. If you don't score any goals, you get relegated. And money talks, I'm afraid. And he's out in his ear.
The only things that he's really done is bought Bielsa and bought Rafinha in, but since then, what's he done?
I'm really pleased. Literally really pleased. Glad to see it back of Orta. So many bad signings we've made over the last few seasons.
And now speculation is rife that former England boss Sam Allardyce could be set to replace head coach Javi Gracia for the final 4 games. Though for many, it's an unenviable task.
Leeds can have 10% possession in every game, and if they get enough points to stay up, then so be it. That's the ultimate aim. Press the reset button in the summer and then start again.
So as the clouds form over Elland Road, it appears the home faithful will have a big part to play in Leeds' run-in. A trip to champions Manchester City awaits first on Saturday, though. Their Premier League future in the balance. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Elland Road.
Of course, all that leaves Leeds in 17th, just outside the drop zone. Elsewhere, Rotherham United secured their championship status with a game to spare thanks to a win over promotion hopefuls Middlesbrough last night. The Millers took the lead when Hakeem Adofin fired home from the edge of the box early in the second half. The win means they'll spend back-to-back seasons in the second tier for the first time in 6 years.
So there we are, you're up to date with the sport.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Well, I don't know about you two, but I'm confused. I keep thinking today's Monday and of course it's Tuesday.
I know, that's a bank holiday for you, isn't it?
Gets you every time, doesn't it? We've got another 2 to go.
Yeah. Bank holiday weather wasn't too terrible, was it?
Do you know what? It was all right. I escaped all the showers. Did you too?
Yes,
there were a few around, but it did get to 18, 19 Celsius as well in the sunshine. Bit more cloud today, but it was still looking quite pretty. This was this afternoon at Rabbit Ings in Royston, South Yorkshire. A big thank you to Shelley for sharing. Yeah, a bit of cumulus cloud, we don't mind doing. It did break a little bit this afternoon towards the evening being the best part of the day again. And yes, we had a long weekend, some cloud around, but this was great in Shelley in West Yorkshire. A big thank you to Ben Asher. And this one was Chatsworth House. I was also there at the weekend, and yes, there was also a little bit of cloud around, and also some beautiful roe deer.
Oh,
Didn't spoil anything too much. Those little cute faces, they're very inquisitive, aren't they? A big thank you to Robert for sharing. And last but no means least, Lady Bower in Derbyshire. Yes, some cloud, but yes, absolutely gorgeous. A little bit of a wind today, but it wasn't too bad. If you were directly at the coast, it would feel a little bit chilly. But over the next few days, we have got a southeasterly picking up, and that is going to peg back the temperatures somewhat. The North Sea is still only around 9 or 10 degrees at the moment, so it's dragging in that cool air. Great for pollen. So if you are affected by the tree pollen at the moment, which is high, it will be lower directly at the coast. But further inland, a good 5 or 6 degrees difference. Now, don't panic too much in terms of temperature-wise as we head to this next important long weekend.
Oh, give us some good news, Kerry.
I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's very showery and warm. I mean, the last time we had a coronation, of course, was Elizabeth in 1953. 11.8 Celsius. It's definitely going to be warmer than that, probably as warm as it was for George V in 1911. But we are expecting a little bit more sunshine, so certainly it will be less dull than previous coronations, but maybe a little tiny bit wetter. There's a big debate about heavy showers, and I'll keep
everything
you
crossed as we head
I will
into the
promise
weekend.
to cross everything.
Thank you very much, Kerry, for now.
Now, finally tonight, she's been on patrol for almost half a century, keeping the youngsters of one South Yorkshire village safe as they cross the road. And now, just days before the coronation, Lollipop lady, 79-year-old Jackie Higginbottom, is off to Buckingham Palace.
Yes, Jackie from Deepcar was awarded the British Empire Medal in King Charles's first New Year's honours list. She's having a day off to attend a garden party at the palace tomorrow. We sent Martin Fisher along to meet her.
Getting ready for another day out on patrol. It's something Jackie Higginbottom's been doing for the last 48 years, outside Royd Nursery and Infant School. Now, Jackie's been here since 1975, the year that Margaret Thatcher first led the Tory party, the year that a pint of lager was 28 pence. So I think a chat is long overdue. Can I come across?
You certainly can. Okay.
Talk to you in a minute.
Okay. They couldn't get a lollipop person. And they said, oh, nobody will do it on Manchester Road. So, being me, I said, well, I'll do it. Goes into the police station, gets the job, goes to Ecclesfield, where I'm from, to my mum and dad, says, hey, guess what? Got a job. What doing? Lollipop. My dad says, I'll give you a week, lady.
Jackie's been doing this so long, she's now crossing children whose parents she once ushered across the road. Parents like Claire Wilson, who's always been a big fan.
I remember coming back then with my son, and she's still here, and she's such a welcoming face, you know, kind of community, heart of the community really. She's the first face that people see in the morning when they get to school.
And we used to call her Mrs. Higginbottom. But obviously now we all know her as Jackie, and you call her Jackie, don't you? But yeah, we used to have to call her Mrs. Higginbottom.
Now, Jackie's amazing service has received royal recognition with her BEM and a date tomorrow at Buckingham Palace. Did you ever think you'd end up at Buckingham Palace through doing it?
No, never ever never in my wildest dream. No. I still couldn't even last year when I was thinking about it.
Oh, she's fabulous. If you ask anybody in the local community, everybody knows who she is. Obviously, she's a huge part of the community, a huge part of our set, and we feel obviously privileged that she works here.
Jackie also worked at the school as a dinner lady, but it's the lure of the lollipop that keeps her going.
It's had to be something really drastic for me to give it up. Yeah. I'm going to float on one of these when I've gone.
So it looks like the streets of Deepcar will be safe for youngsters for years to come. Martin Fisher, ITV News.
Oh, she really loves that job, doesn't she? And a well-deserved day out at the palace for her tomorrow.
I know. Hope you have a lovely day, Jackie, and congratulations. Now then, here's the weather, isn't it, with Kerry?
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. So a messy mixture across the region today. For most of us, it stays dry, but we did have quite a bit of cloud around at times. Thankfully, the oilseed rape giving us a little bit of colour. Keep those photos coming, weather photos at ITV.com. So you can see on the satellite and radar, not much in terms of rainfall on the radar, but plenty of cloud coming and going throughout the day. And that will be the mix as we head deeper into this evening and overnight tonight. So a mixture of patchy cloud and clear spells, but we do stay dry. There's a little bit of a breeze, but in shelter from that breeze, under the clearer spells, the temperatures could dip to the low single figures, so 3 or 4 Celsius in rural sheltered spots, but just about escaping a frost for all of us as we head through into tonight. So 5:27 and 8:40 are your midweek sun times. As we head into tomorrow, it's another dry day. We're hoping for perhaps a brighter day compared to today. The cloud will be thinner and maybe even breaking at times, but with that southeasterly developing and becoming a little bit strong into the afternoon, might bring a little bit more in the way of thicker cloud for the second half of the afternoon. But in the sunshine, 15 or 16, and with that southeasterly, it will feel a little fresh out towards the coast, but maybe an 11 or 12 Celsius here. Quite a bit of weather going on around us, but for most of Thursday, we should stay dry and bright for much of daylight hours. Again, quite chilly out towards the coast, inland a 15, maybe a 16 Celsius, but you can see the system waiting in the southwest for later, and that will unsettle things and mark a change Friday into the weekend. Yes, some sunshine, but some showers. The air's fairly unstable, could be heavy, maybe thundery. Definitely warm in any sunshine by day and frost-free by night.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go. At this stage of the weekend, definitely not cold, but maybe a bit showery.
Oh, Kerry, well, we won't hold you responsible for whatever happens. You're only the messenger.
I am but the messenger,
but,
yeah.
Hopefully it'll be nice for the
I'm
coronation.
sure it will be.
We'll see.
That's all for now. I'll be back with the late news after news at 10, and we're all back tomorrow at 6.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night.